boys and girls, babies in your diapers. Welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.
That's me, Tiberius. Today we're going to talk about some very awesome stuff. We have a cool map for a game to talk about, a new AR book about computer use, my Born School report, and we got a totally fun guest, Mr. Connor Smith. He's the owner of Studio 18. We get to film our show every week there.
What's up, man?
So it's pretty cool.
Thanks for having me on the show, Tiberius.
It's pretty cool to have you too.
Cool.
Today we're going to start off with the video game of the week, and this is going to be a good one.
And now it's time for the video game of the week.
Today's video game is, well, a map. We are going to review Element Tower Defense Survivor, which is a map for Warcraft 3 Frozen Throne by Evan Hadapur. So first off, I have to explain what Tower Defense game is. The computer sends monsters to your area and then walk through your maze. You have to build towers or varied attack speeds, power, and even the area of effects. These towers attack the monsters and attempt them to stop them from reaching the end of the maze. Each time they die, you get a bounty on their head in the form of money. You can use that money to upgrade the towers you have or to build new ones. Of course, each time you complete a wave of monsters, the next wave is going to be harder. Now, this Element Tower Defense game is different because you can control more about the towers with elements. We are talking about light, darkness, water, fire, nature, and earth. Each element has the ability to be stronger than the one to the left. So light is stronger than darkness, so till on the end of earth is stronger than light. So you have to have a nice even amount of elements to stop all kinds of monsters. And if that wasn't complicated enough, you have economy. My dad is very good at this part. Since you get money each time you kill a monster, you can spend that on upgrading and making new towers. Or you can save it. If you save it, you can get interest. Every 15 seconds in the game, you get 1 coin for every 50 coins you have. So if you have 40 coins, you get no interest. But if I have 51 coins, you get 1 extra coin. If you still don't spend your money, and 15 seconds later you are up to 104, then you will get 2 coins extra in interest. This can get really big when you're saving over 2,000 coins and getting 40 coins extra in interest. With that extra money, you can buy more upgrades that your opponents can buy. And finally, you get to your opponents. These are your friends. I like to play with my friend Slim that show me the game and my mom and dad. So as you play the game, if the monsters get past your towers, you lose a life. If you earn, you can earn more lives, but when you run out of lives, you are out of the game. If you last 60 levels, you are rewarded of being a winner. If there are 2 or more winners, then you can do a damage test with the super boss to see who's the overall winner. I give Element Tower Defense Survivor map 10 out of 10 stars. This is a great map to play with your family and work on your math skills at the same time. Just be sure to reserve enough time to finish the game. The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of our dedicated sponsors, Custom Designs Orlando. These guys are on Mills Avenue and do all sorts of stuff, ranging from photo ID badges, engraved signs, custom Braille ADA signs, vinyl lettering, to trophies and awards. They can ship products all over the United States. You can reach them at 407-898-0373. Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties. Contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online at lighthousecfl.org. The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of our awesome sponsors, SlutChannelUS.com. These guys are very, very cool. They bring 21st century surface drainage solutions to reality. They can do corporate and government work. These are the guys that make roads and bridges safe in the rain. You can see all about them at SlutChannelUS.com. That website again is SlutChannelUS.com.
And now we're all ready for the Book of the Week.
Unplugged. This book was written by Steve Ante. Let me read you the back of the book. In fact, Connor, would you do the honor?
I'd be happy to. Blip is always plugged into her computer until one day a blackout forces her outdoors, and she discovers that the real world is a lot more interesting than she realized. But that sounds really good, Tiberius. Have you read this yet?
Yes.
You like it?
It came from the library.
Oh, better return it on time. Don't be like me.
So this book is an accelerated rating book with a rating of 2nd grade 9th month. This is worth 0.5 points or half a point. So for all you kids in school, this is a great book to read for AR tests. So the story goes that the main character, Blips, loves being on her computer. She can do all sorts of things. But then with a blackout, she is forced to go outside and be, wait for it, unplugged! Oh my! Now without a computer, she finds that there are all sorts of things to do outside. Who knew? When it starts to get dark outside, she goes back home when the power is back on, and then she plugs herself back in. I get really upset when we lose power. But now she remembers there are cool things to do outside the computer as well. And it is okay to be unplugged sometimes. So this book is kind of personal to me because I love being on my computer. And I get really upset when we lose power and I can't use my computer. But the last time we lost power, I got to play a Minecraft card game, and I also learned about Pokemon card games. I also now play a lot more board games because they can be played without power. I play Battleship, Acquire, and Codenames. I still like to be on my computer, but now I have stuff to do when the power is out. Or I'm in a timeout from electronics. I give this book 9 out of 10 stars, and I think most kids should read this book, especially if you are taking AR tests in school. Now it's time for the interview of an interesting person. Today's guest is going to be a lot of fun. Mr. Connor Smith is the owner of Studio 18, and this time it is the same place we record the Tiberius Show. He works with major bands and recording artists. So he used to live in New York.
That's right. Or close to. New Jersey, New York, same thing. I spent a lot of time in New York. I grew up in New Jersey, really close to New York City. But learning how to be someone in the music industry, I did hang out in New York a lot.
My dad says you are really into making music in the recording studio. What got you started with music?
What got me started with music? Well, let me ask you this. What music do you listen to?
Kids Bop.
Kids Bop. Kids Bop's a classic. Kids Bop was around since I was a kid.
Classic.
That's great. Well, I got into music through my parents' catalog. They had vinyls and we would listen to old rock. But actually a friend of mine gave me a album by an artist named Tupac. I don't know if you've ever heard of Tupac. He's a rapper from the West Coast. And I was probably 11 years old, and I fell in love with hip-hop music. and I studied. So hip hop's got a really good beat behind it, right?
Yeah.
So do you know the history of the music behind the lyrics? Right? So the beat.
Yes.
The beat. Do you know how that was made originally? What people used to do was they would take old famous recordings of jazz bands, rock and roll bands, soul and funk bands, and they would do what's called sampling. And do you know what sampling is? Sampling is when you take a piece of the song that already exists. So what they would do, think about this, old a rock record. Take a Kids Bop record. Let's pretend there's a section in that song
Like Kids Bop 38?
Yeah, Kids Bop 38, classic. So let's say in Kids Bop 38, there's one section of the song where no one's singing, and the beat's just going, right? Right? Let's say it's doing that. What hip-hop producers would do, the guys that made hip-hop music, is they take that section, and they'd steal it and make it into a new song. That's where hip-hop started in the 70s in New York City. You ever see the old DJs on the turntables doing the scratching?
Oh, yeah.
So what they would do is they would make these songs from old songs. They'd make new songs, and they'd have a guy. He'd be the MC. You ever heard of MC? So you're kind of like the MC of the show today. It stands for Master of Ceremonies. You're the Master of Ceremony. You're in control of this whole show. So the MC is the guy on the microphone who gets the crowd and everybody excited. So with hip-hop, there was a DJ and an MC. And the MC eventually became the rapper. They started being the rapper. The original song, there's an old group, your dad probably knows about it, called the Sugar Hill Gang. It's the first rap song of all time. I bet you he even knows the lyrics. I said a hip, a hop, a hip, a hippie to the hip hop, and that's about as much as I know. Classic. So these were the first guys doing hip-hop music, and I studied that music because I got a hold of a Tupac album, and I fell in love with hip-hop, and that was the beginning of my music career.
What is the best part about running a recording studio?
So running a recording studio, the best part is when you get to record someone who you didn't expect to be so talented. So someone just walks through the door and they say, I would like to purchase time to record at the studio. And you have no clue if they're going to be good or not. And then you get them in the room and they go on the microphone and you turn them up and all of a sudden they're so talented. And that's so cool when that happens.
So I see you do recording, mixing, and mastering.
Yes.
I have no idea what that means. Can you explain them to my listeners?
Yes, absolutely. So think about this, Tiberius. If there's a whole rock and roll band, what are some instruments that might be in a rock and roll band? Guitar, yeah. Drums. Bass, have you seen a bass guitar? It's kind of like a rock guitar, but it makes lower notes. There's a singer. Maybe sometimes a keyboard. So, okay, and there's a piano occasionally, depending on what type of rock music. So think about this. If you were to record this band, there's a lot of ways to do it. You could stick one microphone in the room and get a recording of everything until if you put the microphone right in the right spot, and then you play it for your friends, and you say, listen to the band I just recorded. But you know how I record bands? I put a different microphone on every instrument, just like we do around here. We have a different microphone for every voice, right? Except, so I'll do one microphone for a singer. I may do one microphone for a guitar player. Guess how many microphones I use on a drum set? The Beatles use 3 microphones. I use anywhere from 6 to 12 microphones for one drum set.
What?
Yeah, can you believe that? So that's recording. Recording's when you put all the microphones up. Then you know what mixing is? Mixing is when I go in and I blend them all together. Think about if we're making an ice cream sundae. Recording is like if we had all the ingredients for the ice cream. And mixing is putting the ice cream together. Like not too many cherries, just the right amount of cherries. Not too much chocolate, although there's no such thing. Just a cherry. So think about music, right?
Yes.
So Tiberius, think about this. We just recorded it. Now we want to mix the music together. We don't want the drums to be too loud, or we don't want the guitar to be too quiet. We want everything to be right in the right place. So we're mixing the music together after we've recorded it so it sounds good. Well, sometimes the one guy plays too loud and the other guy's too quiet, and it's up to me as a mixing engineer to mix the levels to make them sound good again.
So, do you use math every time when you're running a studio? My teacher says that I will use math every single day of my life.
Well, sometimes we're applying the math skills we've learned even without consciously thinking about it. So, for example, when I built the studio, to make a room sound good, to make it sound pleasing. Have you ever been in like a hall or a shower, and when you sing it sounds good? It's called reverb. So every room sounds different, and it's based off of the dimensions of the room.
So like this room right now,
Yeah.
besides the bathroom,
Right.
or the other room that you go into,
Yeah,
like this room, like that speaker over there,
yeah.
if you go into this room and also that room.
And it'll sound different in every room.
Yes.
And you know how...
Like if the bathroom door was open and that door was open
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
it would go in there.
It'd go in there, and it would sound different. And the way that we make a room sound good is by using math. If you're singing, if you sing in this room or you sing in the bathroom, it sounds different, right? You ever sing in the shower? Really? I don't believe you. Everybody sings in the shower. Well, you should try it once. You'd be amazing. You sound really good.
I'll try. I'll play my favorite song.
What's your favorite song?
Oh yeah, the here for you is blah blah blah. So oh yeah, we do is go yeah yeah yeah, and we don't even care about what they say, 'cause yeah 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 blah 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 blah.
Nice. That's in my
On the
top.
of my head.
That's in my
Top
top
of
10,000 favorite songs. So, try singing that song in the bathroom. You'll be amazed. You sound good. So sometimes when I'm recording music, I record people in different rooms to make them sound different.
Do you get to work with famous people?
Yeah, you're famous, right? I work with famous people. Sure, I work with people that want to be famous and people that actually are famous. So I've worked with all types of people. Let's see. There's a band that your parents probably like called Earth, Wind, and Fire. There's some artists from a band called the Wailers. That was Bob Marley's band. And then on a more contemporary, let's see, more modern. How about Daddy Yankee? Have you heard of Daddy Yankee? Despacito?
Despacito.
Yes. There you go. Love it. So I've worked with some famous people. Most people I work with are just starting out and are going to be famous.
So if one of my listeners wanted to be a famous singer or a musician, what would you tell them to do?
What would I tell them to do if they want to be famous? I would say focus on making good music before you focus on wanting to be famous. So practice your craft.
What do you do for fun when you're not working in the studio?
Wow. I spend a lot of time in the studio. But what do I do for fun? I listen to music. I go rock climbing. I play ice hockey.
Do you play video games? What is your favorite one?
I don't play video games that much. I don't have time, but I used to play video games. I'll tell you what my favorites used to be. There was a game I played called Halo. I'm sure you heard of Halo.
Oh, yes, I have.
I love Mario Kart.
I'm Mario Kart.
Super Smash Brothers. You know one of my favorite Mario games ever? Not that many people know about it. It's Mario Tennis. Cool. So I like games. I just don't play them as much as I used to. I like Nintendo 64. That was my go-to. Probably my favorite system ever.
Okay, but so
Books.
what is your best book you have read?
Ooh, the best book I've ever read. Well, I read a book called The Lean Startup. So I like creating businesses, whether it's a lemonade stand or selling a plastic plate or a scooter that goes on the sidewalk or a studio. So I'm always studying how to be a businessman. So this book called The Lean Startup has taught me a lot about how to create a company. It's probably my favorite book.
Thank you so much for being my guest. Can you stick around for math corners?
Let's do it. I'm here.
Are you good at math?
We're about to find out. I think I'm pretty good.
Oak Ridge Ridge Gun Range is a family-oriented shooting range that has been in business for over 30 years. They specialize in basic firearm training and offer numerous services such as consignments, gun trades, gunsmithing, and concealed weapon classes. I even got my training for gun safety at Oak Ridge Gun Range. Great customer service, and firearm safety is what they do best. So find out more at oakridgegunrange.com. Mid-State Fire has been providing top-quality fire equipment services for 3 generations to the Central Florida area. Don't wait for an emergency to repair. Call Mid-State Fire today at 407-246-8855. Get your fire extinguishers and emergency lighting for both your home and businesses by visiting www.midstatefire.com. That number again is 407-246-8855. The Tiberius Show would like to thank Boggy Creek Airboat Adventures for being one of our sponsors. I got to go on an airboat and saw a real gator. I even got to go to the gem mine and mine for some gems. We ate a steak dinner at the restaurant and even got some gator bites. If you want to have a blast with the entire family, I suggest you go to www.bcairboats.com right now. Get your tickets today. The website again is bcairboats.com.
Get ready, it's time for the Bowling Score Report.
I'm at the Skylands on Saturday, and I play with Vanessa. MJ and Mia had to pre-bowl, so I did not get to see them. But I bowled a 131, a 111, and a 147 in the final game. I had a lot of fun because we got to dress up in our costumes for Halloween and play around afterwards. So, like, in the final batter, I did, like...
What, when you were bowling, that's what you did?
No, like in the pictures at the end.
Okay, the pictures.
Like, we were doing pictures at the end.
Yeah.
And I was like...
How heavy of a ball do you use?
10 pounds with one hand.
10 pounds? That's pretty heavy. That's impressive.
Hand motion. If you want to go bowling, be sure to join me Saturdays at AMS Skylines on OBT at 10 a.m. in the morning.
Tiberius' favorite subject, it's Math Corners.
Thank you, Connor, for helping me with Math Corners. Today we're going to talk about word problems and how to use math vocabulary to solve them. Now, to start off, I like word problems. Not everyone does. But I like to do them with my dad when he tries to trick me. Dun dun dun! I have found that you can get past a lot of these tricks if you just learn what I like to call math vocabulary. This makes it easier to find out what you are going to do with the data fact presented in the problem and find the answer. Today we're going to talk about the vocabulary of the operation. That means what action you can do with the numbers. Each word problems has one or more data facts. This is the number and how it's used. Then you have the question you are attempting to find out. But you have to find out what you are going to add the numbers or subtract numbers or even multiply or divide them. Just like PEMDAS. The best way to find out is to look for keywords that will help you do the word problem is looking for. For example, addition is easy. But how do you know when you need to use addition? The math vocabulary for addition would be words like sum, more, increased by, plus, in all, or total. Each of those words you would take two data facts and add them together. Now the opposite is true for math vocabulary words for subtraction. These words would be like difference, take away, fewer, minus, subtract, reduce by, less than, and my favorite one, also for subtraction, how many more? Each of these you want to take one data fact and subtract another data fact from it. Now, if you think those two are easy, the math vocabulary was for multiplication. These words would be like product, times, multiply, and twice. There's only 4 of them, but they really need to multiply the 2 data facts together. And finally, you get the math vocabulary for division. These words are like half, equally grouped, divide, split, and share equally. When you hear those words, you are going to divide one data fact and divide it evenly with another data fact. So like, if I say Connor has 4 hats and he loses half of them,
Right.
I will know I will divide the 4 hats by 2. So Connor, do you like word problems?
Bring it on. If we've got 7 people and they each need 2 microphones because they're playing an instrument and singing, how many microphones do we need? 7 people and they each need 2 microphones. That's right. You got it.
14 minutes.
How did you get 14?
So I knew we were going to multiply because you said 7 people and 2 for each, right?
Yep.
So it would be 7 times 2. 7 times 2 is 14.
Nailed it.
So that's why I say 14.
You got it.
So each person eats 2, right?
That's right.
So the answer would be 14 microphones. Thank you so much, Connor, for your help with math.
Oh, it's been fun. Thanks for having me on the show, Tiberius.
And now it's time for Heart of a Lion. We, the Tiberius Show, like living with the heart of a lion. Living with the heart of a lion stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility. We asked Dr. Ferret exactly what that means.
Leadership is really about influence. Leadership is, and the way we define it is good leadership, is about setting the right example and encouraging other people to do the right thing. Integrity is about doing right no matter what. Through life, there are a lot of different circumstances that arise, and integrity, someone who shows integrity, it doesn't matter what all the external things are, they always choose to do what is right. Obedience is about obeying those who are in authority over you, whether that's a teacher, a boss, a parent, that when you are asked to do something, that you respond with obedience, quickly and completely. Nobility is about having respect. It's about carrying yourself with respect and showing respect to others. When you put these 4 things together, that's Lion Strong.
This week we are going to talk about integrity. Integrity is the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles, as well having a good sense of fairness toward others. I saw integrity this week when we were at a cornhole tournament and a chicken wing eating competition. With cornhole, everyone was honest in recording their scores and being fair by ensuring everyone was out of the way when people were throwing their bags. During the chicken wing eating competition, everyone was sure to be fair and eat all the meat on the bone, and also everyone had the same amount of wings to eat. Connor, did you see or use integrity this week at all?
Sure. I try to use integrity every day. So in the studio, people pay me to do my job, right? So they pay me to record, and if you remember, what comes after recording is mixing. Except the artist is not in the studio when I mix. I mix alone. I mix their music without them there. So I have to work with integrity because when they pay me money and I have to do the job of mixing, I could just give it right back to them and take the money. But that would be the wrong thing to do. The right thing to do is to spend my time and dedicate my time to giving them a good product.
Yes.
Even though they're not there.
Even
though. Because I promised them I'd do something and I came through with my word.
And that's our show, folks. I want to thank Mr. Connor Smith with Studio 18 for being my special guest this week.
Anytime you want, Tiberius. You know your radio show takes place in my studio, so I'm right around the corner.
Be sure to listen to us next week on the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius!
Tiberius Show is not filmed in front of a live studio audience. Executive producer Joseph Boyd. Production editor Pierre Laguerre. Green Room manager Danny Boyd. Broadcast associate James Smith. And your program host, Tiberius Boyd. The Tiberius Show is copyright 2018.